Welcome back, Bears fans, to this Monday night edition of the CHGO Bears After Dark podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app, use code CHGO when you sign up. How's it going, everyone? Will DeWitt, Gregg Braggs Jr. here. Post-bye week, we survived the bye, and it's time to begin the first of our final 4 game weeks. Nicholas Moreano, he's going to join us in about 30 minutes. And before that, Cody Delmendo will join us in about 15 minutes to talk some Monday Night Football bets. And I have a question I'm going to ask him about this Bears game coming up here too this week. Before we get into that, it's time for our weekly vibe check. Gregg, first of all, it's great to see you. How's it going?
It's going good. Excited to get back to watching some Bears football. A week off from it. Like I said, probably good timing just to get Justin Fields some rest because his back has to be broken from carrying this team all year. But the opportunity to, because we don't really get to, with all the coverage we're doing on game day, we don't necessarily get to key into the other teams around the league. We had this opportunity on the mini bye earlier this year and now this time later here in the year. And I guess the thing that stood out to me was, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about the Eagles here later on, but with the Eagles, it just seemed like we're so far away from being that. So, they have a loaded roster, really good offensive line, bunch of good wide receivers, and we're facing them on Sunday. And I think that's the goal, right? Is for us to become the Bears, or for the Bears to become the Eagles here, as far as what their plan they put in place and now how they're executing it. Right. But then overall, watching the rest of the NFC and seeing teams like the Lions starting to climb, I mean, they're under 500 and they're feeling on top of the world because they've strung together some wins. So, while we're not very close to what the Eagles are, it's not like we're that far off from the rest of the NFC. So it's kind of like a bigger picture look at it. We have a long way to go to maybe win a Super Bowl, but not as far and not as high of a hill to climb to be competitive in this conference.
Look at you just continuing to keep your eyes on the prize, focusing on football. I took this Sunday. Honestly, I caught up on some of the games late during the evening and again this morning, but I took my Sunday afternoon and did some Christmas errands with the wife. And Gregg, we did the thing where you get to that point of parenting and you decide that your kid's old enough to have their first phone, which is a very sad day for us when we're out there looking around.
That's a scary
he turns
day.
10. It is very scary, but he's on mine most of the day after school anyway. So it's time to teach him how to use it. So that's kind of the big scary thing we did. Did you do anything fun throughout the bye week?
We went to breakfast Saturday morning, and then I had a banquet with my guys over at Bernie's Book Bank and Patrick Manley giving away his long snapper award of the year. They do that with my guy Darren at Bernie's Book Bank. And what's really cool about that is they made a trophy, for the winner. And it's literally Patrick Manley's hands gripping a football. They made the mold out of it and then bronzed it and everything. And it's his actual half of his arms in his hands. It's really cool. I wish I would have shared the picture because to me, it rivals the top trophies of any sport. It's a really, really cool trophy. And it kind of embodies the football spirit. So that's what I did on Saturday. And that was about it. Like I said, we had a nice breakfast Saturday. And we just kind of took it easy. We got a lot of the cleaning done around the house. Jenny tricked me because we thought we were having the Christmas Eve family party here. So I spent all of Friday because I got rained out of work on Friday, worked and cleaned up the whole house, got some things ahead of the game done before we get to the last minute, cleaned the whole thing, and then they switched the location of the party. And I go, you tricked me, Jenny. You knew this was going to happen the whole time. You just wanted me to clean the house.
Damn. Well, at least you were a good husband. You got the work done, even though, she must really know you, though, to give you that trick anyway to get it done. But, hey, I think that's a good use of a day off of work.
The funny thing is I've been putting some of these things off for months, and it only took me 2, maybe 3 hours to do. And I felt so accomplished when it was over, as if this was so hard to do. And I could have done it months ago, but yesterday or this weekend was the time. And I felt like a new man after it was over. The room I'm sitting in is as clean as it's been in a year.
Wow. Wow. Procrastinator though, right? You put it off, and you're like, oh, that actually didn't take long at all. Like I'm in the same boat with like
the joys of being
like
ADD,
that.
Will.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's one of those where I never was diagnosed as a kid, but the older I got, I'm like, yeah, that actually describes so much about how my brain operates. So I'm right there with you. Do you know why I'm upset at you though? I forgot.
Why? I don't know.
You don't know? It's because you told me that there's no reason to root for the Houston Texans to find a way to win games. And damn it, Greg, if you were on that side, if that would have been like Lovie Smith's team, they would have found a way to hold on at the end. I was watching them just give up that game, and all the time I was about to text you. I'm like, this is all Greg's fault for telling people that they don't have to root for the Texans because there's no way they're going to win 2 more of these games. And if they would have beat the Cowboys of all teams, like the Bears would have had a realistic shot
100%.
at that number 1 overall pick. And now it's even tougher than it was 48 hours ago, but it was right there.
I never would have imagined that would have been like when you looked at the rest of the Texans schedule and they have the Colts and the Jaguars who are playing much better here. So it doesn't look like that's certainly any kind of a given win by any means, but I never would have circled the Cowboys game like, there's the trap game. So, but it was funny how that game finished because they're up 3. Lovie Smith and the Texans are getting ready to score and potentially go up 10 and end it. And they decide to not go for the field goal, go for it on 4th down. They don't get it. And the Cowboys go back and win the game the other way. And you have to feel in that moment that they were certainly in on the tank. They were like, okay, we had our fun. Now let's play it loose here, and it's kind of funny because you just don't know who's in on the tank, right? The players are never in on the tank. I've had a hearty discussion with some Bears Twitterites this today about this, and players are certainly never in on the tank. They have contracts that they have to play well for some of their incentives on their contract to come through, and they're trying to put tape out there for future jobs. They may not be on the Texans next year or the Bears next year, but they have to try to get a job somewhere else too. So they're not in on the tank. Are the coaches in on the tank? We don't. The Eagles, as I brought up to some people that want to push back on this whole tank thing, the Eagles did tank 2 years ago. They chose to lose to the Redskins at the end of the year, or the Commanders, now they are, and that put the Giants in, and that dropped the Eagles from the 9th pick to the 5th pick and set them up to trade back and get future first-round picks, which they've done the last 2 years, trading back for future first-round picks. And that is something I want the Bears to mirror, but you just don't know who's in on the tank. The coaches, it doesn't seem like Matt Eberflus is. Doesn't seem like the players obviously aren't. But then the front office, they can put the pieces in place that even though you're not trying to tank, you have no choice because of the talent on the field. Everybody talks about learning to win. I know Sam Mustipher had a quote about learning to win. And at the end of the day, once they get better players in here, this learning to win theory is going to go out the window because, good players win, bad players lose. And that's as simple as you can put it. And they can try and learn as much as they can. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the Clydesdales in the race, you're not going to win many races. You can learn how to race all you want, but you need the horses to get you home.
That's right. Yeah, I was going to say that Sam Mustipher needs to learn a lot of things in addition to just winning. And if the Bears learn how to win, you mentioned getting better players, he may not like the answer that the Bears have if they want to be winners down the road. But just looking at like the draft status, and I know during like the day show, they talked about it a lot, so I don't want to drive into it too deeply, but I did kind of write that bi-week rooting guide. So I've just been paying attention to like all these teams and the outcomes. And luckily Thursday night, the Rams pulling one out was huge for the Bears, because if they would have lost, just like Denver lost, the Bears would be sitting 4th. But luckily we're only at the 3rd overall pick. And then tonight is another just big game. We have Arizona going up against the Patriots. Cody will be on in a few moments to kind of give us some bets and things like that. But just looking at this game, it's one of those you have to root for the Cardinals if you're a Bears fan, because the Cardinals are a game and a half behind the Bears. they win this game and they're going to close that gap. And I don't think anybody wants that 6th overall pick to be in contention for the Bears. We want to try to stay top 3, top 4 if we can. And some of that's out of our hands, but definitely Arizona winning tonight just adds a little bit more cushion. And I think we all want some breathing room when it comes to that. So for the next 3.5, 4 hours, I'm not going to say I'm a Cardinals fan, but I'm going to say I'm rooting for that team.
And you did a really nice job putting that article out, getting Bears fans to know, hey, what do we need to watch to keep an eye on what's going to help our draft cause. And I've seen some people on Twitter doing the deep dive as far as what our worst case scenario is going to be as these games unfold. And according to my Bears Twitter sources, and you know me with my Bears Twitter sources, I've gone off the level a few times with those guys, but I will continue to trust them because they are my people. I have someone that seems like they're really doing their homework on this. They claim that now we're at the point that number 5 is the furthest we can fall when you include the teams that have lost, that have 3, 4, or 5 losses, or I should say 1 loss, or as far as helping us. And then the other aspect is some of those teams still play each other here in the upcoming weeks. According to these sources, shout out to my Bears Twitterites, apparently now the first we can fall to 5, because the last few weeks when I was really concerned about this, the difference was like you were either the 3rd pick or the 2nd pick or the 16th pick. And then the next week it was the 2nd pick and then the 13th pick. Now it's starting to where the picture is becoming more clear. And if the furthest we're going to fall is 4 or 5, I'm going to have less of a emotional outburst if we blow it, right? But at the same time, 2 is still so much valuable than 3, 4, or 5 because it gives you the opportunity. For sure you'll be able to trade out of that. We don't know how they're going to evaluate these QBs. You've got Bryce Young, you've got Will Levis, who's like this year's Mitch Trubisky, and then you've got who's the other quarterback? Will, help me out here. You got Bryce Young, Will Levis, and then
CJ Stroud.
There you go. I was going to mention
Stroud from Ohio State. And we hope that Stroud and Bryce Young do really well here in these bowl games, right? Because that's only going to help their draft status. If you're a Bears fan, you got to root for CJ Stroud to win the national championship and let his value go through the roof. Because then wherever we're sitting, if these 3 quarterbacks, if everybody starts getting quarterback obsessed and puts all these guys up in the top 3 or 4 picks, then we'll still have an opportunity to trade back. But at number 2, you have to feel really good that will still be an option.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I know we've been talking about this off and on for the last few weeks, and you're right. Like these teams do start to play one another, which makes it, at least for my mind, it starts going in a million different directions of what that does to the numbers. Because like the Cardinals tonight play the Patriots, and the next week they play Denver. And so you're rooting for Denver to win that game, which then we would leapfrog back over them if the Bears lose to the Eagles. And we'll talk about that here later in this show and throughout the week. If we believe the Bears can pull one out, I hope that everyone's hoping for a fun game, but at the end of the day, that the result is really what we would anticipate, what we would expect. But yeah, I think it's just going to be really fascinating to watch how this all plays out over the next few weeks. And it's, in a way, Greg, I don't want to say it's as exciting because everyone here wants the Bears to be winners, contenders, and playing for playoff spots, but it's very similar, like playing for draft position and watching these other teams and like who's in contention and who's in the hunt and how it all kind of shakes out. It's fascinating. And I think the last time the Bears had like a top 5 picks, we're going all the way back to like the Trubisky days. Like they didn't have all these sites like Tankathon. People weren't into it as much as they are now. So it's just to me, it's a really interesting, just kind of new elements here. And hopefully it's a 1-year thing. And then we can just focus on the playoffs from here on out. Anything else before we bring on Cody to talk some bets?
No, I mean, we'll get more into it, but, certainly excited for this Bears-Eagles game because, like I said, this is the team that we aspire to be here in Chicago. So I think it's perfect timing for this matchup.
I saw Casey saying good evening. Good evening, Casey. Daniel said, yo. I am Skokes said, gave us a little rock sign. So I appreciate everyone jumping in here, the chat for this After Dark special. Let's bring on Cody because he has to win people some money. What's going on, Team Carhartt?
Yeah. It looks like the exact same one almost, right?
Almost. Yeah, getting there pretty close. How's it going, man? You have a good weekend? I know Cubs are making it difficult.
Yeah. The Cubs are running my life right now, and they're not even playing games.
But, I've been taking it easy on you, Cody, because I know you're going through a stressful time. Because you know me, I want to constantly get at you about college basketball. I'm so excited for college basketball. Illinois had some tough losses to start their Big Ten season. And my Boilermakers, which I will give you way more crap about tomorrow on the CHGO Bet Show. You can't dunk me tomorrow. But the Purdue Boilermakers are number 1 in the country. That's right, Will. I know you're a IU fan too. So, I'll try to...
you know what they say about teams that peak in December, Braggs.
I don't know, and I don't care. I just love it.
Hey, Greg, did you say something? I accidentally hit the mute button for like 20 seconds there. I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't do the listeners any favors.
Anyway.
There we go. Hey, Cody, real quick. I have a question. So I saw this morning that the Bears are opening up this week as 9-point underdogs at home. Yet, like when I look at the Eagles and what they're able to do last week against the Giants, like it doesn't surprise me as much as it hurts to be almost a double-digit underdog at Soldier Field. Like, what are your thoughts just about that opening line?
Right now, I would play the Eagles to cover that, but I feel like maybe by Sunday that spread could be up to double digits. I'd probably still take the Eagles, but I say that, and I'm someone who's been fading the Eagles all season, and that's not to just like win or lose. That's to cover the spread. They've been huge favorites in a lot of games this year. Right, they were 7.5 or 8-point favorites against the Giants on the road last week, and divisional games, like divisional road favorites, aren't exactly profitable over the span of time. But they covered. They blew out the Giants. It was never a doubt for them. There was a few weeks ago they played the Texans on a Thursday night. Was like a 15 or 16 point spread favorite, I believe, and they didn't cover that. So yeah, I'd get the Eagles now just because it's a touchdown and a field goal. Like if they win by 10, right? Like that seems likely, I feel. But I would probably then lean the Bears if it got over 10.5, because I think the Bears could hang around. They've hung around with every team all season, right? But that said, like it's still one that I would probably avoid. Maybe just take the over, because I think the Eagles are going to put up a ton of points anyway, and their defense is good, but they've shown that they're sus against the run, which is something the Bears like to do.
Right.
And again, I believe the over is undefeated since they traded Roquan Smith. So that's something I'm going to keep playing. I played the under in the Bears Jets game because of the weather and because of the quarterback situation, and that game still went over. And that was because the Jets put up like 30 some points. So the total was like 38 points. And Trevor Siemian somehow went out there and put up 10 points. So, coming off the bye, I think the Bears are going to come out, motivated to play well, right? At home. You know how, like you guys were just talking about, tanking and all that. Like, I don't think Eberflus is out there trying to tank the way that he's coaching games, right? So I think the Bears will give him a good fight, but I would probably play the Eagles up to 10. If it went to 10.5 or more, I'd then play the Bears.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate you just sharing it. I know we don't usually look that far ahead right now, and we also have After Dark coming up later, and you have some bets throughout the week, but I just appreciate some early thoughts. Switching over to this Monday night game, I just want to know, to start things off, does this classify as a Cody stinker?
At least there's like some playoff implications in this game. Like the Patriots are in the hunt graphic, right? And the Cardinals coming off the bye. I don't know if they're eliminated or not, but I do know that like they're trying to win. Like I think Cliff Kingsbury is on the hot seat, and
I'd say so.
I like everything going on in Arizona right now is kind of a mess. So like I would say this is a must win for them. So yeah, I wouldn't say that this game is completely awful, but I mean I would have been happier if they put like that Chargers Dolphins game on Monday night instead of Sunday night. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. So tonight I'm riding the Patriots -2.5. You could have got it at 1.5 this morning. I ended up taking 2.5 later this afternoon. And I thought about it for a while. And I'm just going to ride with Belichick. I love taking Kingsbury as an underdog. I think I've said that on the show before. I think the 49ers and the Cardinals, they played in Mexico City like a month ago, something like that. And I took the Cardinals as like 8-point dogs. They got blown out by the 49ers. That it really doesn't matter who the quarterback is there anymore. I don't. It's pretty impressive. No one's really talking about it. But yeah, I'm going to take the Pats -2.5. Some trends include so Belichick is like against the spread. Belichick after a loss, he is 65% winning percentage against the spread after a loss. He's 60% against the spread against the NFC and 65% in toss-up spreads of 3 points or less in his entire coaching career. As a 7-point favorite or anything worse after a loss, Belichick is 41, 11, and 1. So that's 79% in his career. And I know a lot of those games obviously were with Tom Brady. But
I was going to say, do you have any splits like what it's been after Brady or no?
No, I
sure
do not have
different.
that. I do not have that. But he is 3-1 this season when he is a 7-point favorite or worse. So it's not like that's 4 games, but I don't know. As far as like Kingsbury, again, like I just said, he's kind of on the hot seat. So these games actually matter, but he's shown the last few years to not like the Cardinals have kind of like last year, especially the Cardinals jumped out to a great record to start the year. Right. And then they kind of fell apart towards the end. So Kyler Murray has only won one of his last 10 home games. This is a home game for the Cardinals. One of his last 10. And Kingsbury is 10-23 straight up from week 8 forward. And that includes an ugly 12-19-2 against the spread after week 8 as a Cardinals coach. So I think I hate betting the Patriots without Tom Brady because you don't know what you're going to get out of Mac Jones, but I think they run the ball a ton tonight with Stevenson. In this Cardinals defense, it's shown that it can be good, but it also has shown that it can be very bad. To me, like I do kind of lean the under just because the Cardinals offense is so inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get. And it's kind of the same thing with the Pats. But I like the spread the most. You're giving me 2.5, which means all New England has to do is win by a field goal. I think that's doable. So yeah, I'm taking the better coach tonight. That's basically what I'm doing here.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Greg, I'm glad you're back. I know you're asking people to give this video a like, and maybe the number was so low you had to take a moment off screen to let out some frustration, but I'm glad you're here.
No.
You okay?
I'm good. I've calmed down. No, we appreciate everybody hitting that like button and subscribing as always. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
And then Steven, our producer, Cody, you didn't mention, I know DraftKings is running a special tonight, and Steven was playing with it right before we went live. Did you actually end up settling?
I did get the bet in. It's it has to be a minimum of 3 legs. Okay. It's a no sweat parlay, so up to $10. If you lose the bet, you get your money back as a free bet. So that's a no brainer. You got to at least hop on that and sprinkle some money in there. Cody, do you know anything for that one?
I have not, and the big reason is I just didn't have a great gambling weekend. So I'm trying to just kind of I'm trying to not spend or bet a lot of money tonight. So
you're having a rough few days, Cody.
I am, Greg. I
rough.
really am. I appreciate you for not shoving it down my throat.
When Illinois lost the other day, I was like, I almost was gonna hit the send tweet. I was gonna give you one of those voicemail texts that I give you, and I was like, you know what? I need Cody to focus on the Cubs right now. I don't need to be bugging him about it. It's early in the season. I need him to focus on the Cubs, focus on winning. Our loyal viewers' money. So I just want to keep you in good spirits because there's still work to be done. Correa's still out there. Dansby Swanson's still out there with his beautiful bride from Chicago. So you still have work to do, Cody. Okay? So I'm gonna be nice to you for the time.
I'm going to Winterland tomorrow again, Braggs. That means that I'm giving Ricketts more of my damn money. If it better go to the damn Correa fund, man. Like I don't know what else I got to do to get this team to spend some money, man.
I thought it was a great idea that if me and you went there, we just get on the teacups and then chain ourselves to the teacups and refuse to be like, we're not getting off until you sign someone.
You gotta sign someone or I ain't getting out. Yeah.
Cody, we're desperate.
Cody, to bring it back to tonight's game, I do have to ask, did you sprinkle any money on Hunter Henry at all?
If I were to do a same game parlay, he is someone that I would because I know Mac Jones likes targeting him. I know he hasn't targeted him a ton this year, but he definitely targeted him a ton last year. And I know the Patriots offense has obviously got off to a really slow start this year and it's been better in recent weeks, but he is like I wouldn't blame or I wouldn't say no against that. I would totally do that.
On top of that, the Cardinals are the last in the NFL in defending the tight end, dead last. I mean, I was looking at some of the numbers before I placed my bet. I went heavy on Hunter Henry myself. Travis Kelce, week 1, 121 in the touchdown. Darren Waller, who's been injured and had a terrible year, 6 catches, 50 yards, touchdown. Tyler Higbee, 4 for 61. I mean, I see only 2 bad games that tight ends have had against the Cardinals. That was the Panthers, who have Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas, exactly. The other one was the Vikings before they got T.J. Hawkinson. So they had Johnny Munt and Irv Smith. So that was the one thing I went really heavy on tonight.
Yeah, that's good thinking. When I think of Patriots receivers, I just think of them just throwing to tight ends. That's even with Mac Jones, they do that a lot. So
check down the stay intermediate. I'm with you.
Yeah. There we go. So, Steven, he got me. I'm going to do, he said it has to be at least 3 or max at 3?
At least 3.
Okay, so I got 4, and I'm going to kind of tease the under at 50.5. I'll take over 64.5 rushing for Stevenson, over 24.5 for Henry. You talked me up a little bit for my 14.5. And then I'm going to take the Patriots at a plus 3.5, just in case the Cardinals win and help out the Bears. And that gives me a plus 370. And I feel pretty good about that.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I like the teasing of the spreads because it gives you a little extra confidence. So
exactly, it does. All right, Cody, thanks for hopping on, sharing some bets here for this week, talking about the Bears line too. Have a good rest of your night. I know you're recording your personal podcast later this evening, right?
Yeah, 8:00, my YouTube channel, if anyone cares. Luke's coming on. We're gonna be basically just gonna be talking to him about his career and stuff. So the podcast is just called Connections, and it's just like a sports media podcast that I started just because I love hearing about people's journey through the industry. So yeah,
let me know when I get my invite, and I'll see you then.
And when if the Cubs don't sign anyone, we can just go on there and go live and then just cry the entire time.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping maybe the Cubs do sign someone during that show. That way, I don't know, it would at least there'd be a recorded reaction, and then and then we can hop off, and then me and Luke can do Cubs, and then we can be happy. So we'll see.
Keep up the good work, Cody. We believe in you. Stay strong. Stay positive. Players are still available. Go over there and riot the Wrigley Winterland tomorrow. I believe in you, Cody.
I need a drink, guys. All right.
Later, Cody. All right, we're going to bring on Nicholas Moreano to join us in just a moment. Before we do, I want to let you know about one of my favorite partners here at CHGO, and that is Shady Rays, because they never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. They are premium, polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. And the best part about Shady Rays is that they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear, which is lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day 1, day 10, day 100, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Dropped in a lake, off a cliff, anything. They will replace them. And of course, you know that I love that they just love to give back, right? They provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every single order placed, and they have donated over 20 million meals to date. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. That's buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all of their newest and best shades. And this is when we bring on Nick, because he's going to give us our next message.
What's up, you guys? How's it going?
Magic. It's magic. Love the hoodie, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Oh, it's magic.
Oh,
you know, never believe it's not. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Maybe that's a cue for me to tell everybody about
Yes,
next Evo. I think that's the cue right there. Guys, with the holiday season here, not everything is sleigh bells and mistletoes. There's also airports, shopping malls, dining tables crowded with people. Some you're glad to only see once a year. So give yourself the ultimate gift of a stress-free holiday with Next Evo Naturals fast-absorbing CBD products. Next Evo Naturals are developed with smart sorb technology, which is clinically proven to help your body absorb CBD 4 times better than regular CBD oil. And I've noticed Next Evo Revive helping me when I'm dealing with muscle soreness after a workout, and that's why it's important to take the Next Evo Revive daily, because it's again, you can absorb 4 times more efficiently with that product. And so don't settle for less. Get your supply of Next Evo Naturals Revive CBD Complex today, or if you're not into that, you can shop their gummies, capsules, mints, proven again to absorb 4 times faster than CBD oil. And you can get up to 25% off when you subscribe and spend $40 or more at nextevo.com/recover with promo code BEARS. That's BEARS, nextevo.com/recover with promo code BEARS.
Good stuff there, Nick. I don't know, Greg, were you hearing like Nick's mic kind of change?
Yeah, it was kind of like temporarily exploding for a second.
Yeah, it was. It was odd to say the least. It almost felt like you had 2 different microphones and you would switch for like a couple words to one.
Every time it happens, the rest of this segment, you have to take a shot at Malort. So we'll see how this goes.
You're in trouble.
We'll see how this goes.
I think I actually have a bottle of Malort.
We're not gonna. I don't want to kill you tonight because that was pretty consistent. While like I set up your House Hall updates, maybe check the USB if it's connected all the way. That would be the only thing I can troubleshoot here on the spot? Question mark. And Steven helped me with that, so thank you, Steven. I appreciate it, but we'll see. It wasn't like the end of the world, but it's good to fine tune if we can. But Nick, you were at House Hall today, kind of getting back into like a normal swing of things. I know like the big news that came out this morning was the return of Gordon and Brisker, the Bears defensive backfield becoming, almost full strength. It's kind of hard without Eddie Jackson to say full strength, but at least we're getting a couple of pieces back there. And honestly, I'm just excited to watch their rookie development now continue after a little bit of a hiatus with the concussion protocol. Anything you want to add about their return? And then, of course, we'll open the floor for some of those additional updates from Hallis.
Yeah, just really quickly, Matt Eberflus, did say the clear concussion protocol and said they're all squared away. But the important part that they're going to work on right now, obviously 2 players coming off concussion protocol, just a ramp-up period. So Wednesday's going to be a big day for them. But, man, they come at a really important time for the Bears, especially with the next 4 opponents and a lot of the playmakers that they have. Obviously with A.J. Brown this Sunday and Devontae Smith. You're going to have Justin Jefferson. You're going to have Stephon Diggs. You're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown. So a bunch of more than capable pass catchers, with Justin Jefferson arguably being the best wide receiver in the league right now. So they come in an important time for a secondary that was, a backup unit when going up against Green Bay. So it's good to see those rookies, and they're going to be tested. And if they struggle in those games, I think it's going to be okay in the end because they're going to learn from these moments. But it's good to have them now, for at least these 4 games.
And
absolutely. It was 2 shots, by the way.
Yeah, 2 shots. That's not too many. And it's not too bad. I mean, whatever Steven thinks. He's the producer. But, I did think the secondary without Brisker and Gordon, I thought they played really well against Green Bay. I know we ended up giving up 28 points, but, seeing what Josh Blackwell was able to do, Jalen Jones, these guys were battling out there. And I just think, there's something to be said for when a guy gets his opportunity, what you might end up finding. And that's what these last 4 games should be about is trying to find those people that haven't had that opportunity. But of course, having Brisker and Gordon back and now knowing what with these other guys, I just hope that they can find a way to put them in there in certain situations. Felt like they earned it a little bit against Green Bay.
No, absolutely. I mean, just seeing how some of those backups who maybe were primarily special teams, obviously Jalen Jones had played some on defense, but the Josh Blackwell really impressed. But something that Eberflus said today about Gordon's like he really wants to see him back in that nickel position. Obviously, being an important part in any defense, especially Eberflus's and Allen Williams. But a lot of teams play that 11 personnel. But he highlighted Gordon as playing that nickel spot. That'll be a big piece for us going forward, he said. So I wonder if he wants to see more of that as opposed to him being on the outside when they're not in that nickel package. But he highlights that being one of the things that he was looking forward to seeing now that they're back. And really quickly, there are some other updates about some other players coming back from injuries. Khalil Herbert, Matt Eberflus did say he does anticipate him to be back. Excited where he's at. He actually spoke to Herbert earlier today, and he said he's ready to go. He's been hitting his max speeds. His jumps look good. Power is there in the legs. So Khalil Herbert's looking good. But it sounds like and you can even go back and watch the press conference from earlier today. Larry Borum, he was asked what's his status, and he said he's doing okay. And it's how he said it that makes me feel like he's not doing okay. And he said the injury report comes out on Wednesday. So I don't know, you guys. If there's something going on with Larry Borum, let's check out for Wednesday. But you can go back and watch that part of his press conference when he said he's doing okay. I don't know. I think otherwise when you say it the way you did. And, obviously you gave an elaborate explanation for Herbert and Gordon and Brisker. He's doing okay.
You have to expect Alex Leatherwood to get an uptick of snaps.
Exactly.
Take the words right out of your mouth here.
That's literally what's next up.
I'm dying for some Leatherwood.
That's next up on the list here, Greg. And well, here's the thing: Matt Eberflus said he hasn't decided about Alex Leatherwood and his rotation as of yet. Practice, he said, will dictate that. Hopefully, he has a good Wednesday practice. Am I right? Yeah, but he did say he'll be rotating. So that is the plan for Alex Leatherwood, even though it's still up in the air. It's all going to come down to practice. So we'll have to wait and see.
I'll take some notes down and you can pass them along to Coach Eberflus, and I'll just play him the whole game. That'll be my note, and see if he takes it.
I'll put that like on a sticky note, and as I go up to the podium, as I place down the recorder from Gregg Braggs, just keep it to yourself.
Once upon a time at an autograph convention, I gave Lou Piniella my lineup card for the year. I told him, I was like, this is your lineup. I gave it to him. I was like, here you go. Take this with you.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I like that, Greg.
And he didn't kill me. It's Lou. He's kind of a hothead, but he thought it was funny. I don't know if he took it with him.
I was like, yeah, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. I like
I'm sure that's what he was thinking.
Also, quick update on Chase Claypool. He was at Matt Eberflus was asked about, is he still in the adjustment period? And here's his response. He said, yeah, I think he's getting to the point I really do. He needs a lineman assignment, get all the things down, the route depths and the routes, the discipline of running the routes. He's in a good spot. We're looking forward to him getting better every single week. Jason Leisure from the Sun-Times followed up. So where is he at really? But he's like, Matt Eberflus said he isn't there yet. He's getting there. And guys, I don't know if I don't want to take this to really quickly. I saw what Baker Mayfield did in 2 days.
Right.
And obviously he hasn't learned the offense. It's impossible. But he went out there and won a football game on a national, stage, and obviously 2 different positions and completely different. But just to me, it's like hopefully in these last 4 games we do see Chase Claypool get more opportunities, because it seems like he's getting a lot of these quick passes in the flat, and every so often he'll maybe get a shot downfield that doesn't end up connecting. But I don't know. I saw what Baker Mayfield was able to do, and obviously got some help from the Raiders defense, but still isn't there after what, 5? Was it 5, 6 weeks now? I'm blanking, but you would like to see them there.
And as I've said with Chase Claypool, it's kind of all aboard the excuse train, and I'm full of excuses when I want to defend my squad and my Chicago Bears. And I guess the difference there would be play calling, because there is an onus on Chase Claypool. He has personal responsibility to understand the offense as fast as he can, and I'm sure it's a lot harder than people want to give him credit for. Mm-hmm. But the difference between the Rams and Baker jumping in is the play callers. Sean McVay's been calling plays for the Rams for years, and he might know how to make it simple for Baker Mayfield. We have a first-year play caller in Luke Getsy, who is still trying to figure out what he's trying to do, especially at the end of games. So it is on Chase Claypool, but it's just as much on Luke Getsy to scheme Chase Claypool some, a package of plays or whatever, or just in general work him into the offense smoother. So it's twofold when it comes to Chase. It's Luke Getsy and it's Chase Claypool. No blame ever goes on our golden boy Justin Fields, because I refuse to blame him for anything. He carries us to
Greg, you bring up Justin Fields. One thing that Matt Eberflus wants to see out of Fields these last 4 games, he wants us to continue to see that rhythm and timing, which has been showing, especially in that loss to the Packers. But he knows that Justin is more than capable of making dynamic plays. But he also wants to see the ordinary plays, the checkdowns, the easy passes. Take what the defense gives you. He said that's the thing that Fields and the coaching staff thinks he needs to improve on. And why not have a good opportunity last 4 games, especially against some very good defenses these first 2 weeks, to just test out some of those ordinary plays. Maybe it's not going to be, the splash plays that end up, changing a game, but it can keep a drive going. So that's what Matt Eberflus wants to see out of QB1 for the rest of the way. And then really quickly, Jack Sanborn, I know there's been some comments about him in our chat here, but Eberflus really likes the consistency seeing out of him, said he's tackling better, has really improved in that area. One thing he wants to see, though, and he said it about Jalen Johnson about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, ball production. And I think he wants to see that out of every member of his defense, to be completely honest. Just turning over the football, however you can do that. And Jack Sanborn was asked, well, how do you practice ball production, punching at the football, but also practice tackling? It was Herb Howard from the Bigs asked him, can you realistically do that? And he said, with a smile, we'll see. So we'll have to see how Jack Sanborn can balance, having form technique tackling lower, but also at the same time trying to punch the football out. It's a good challenge for the undrafted free agent there. I got a chance to ask quickly Jack Sanborn. I think there was everyone was during that Bears-Packers game, right before the 2-minute warning, it looked like Sanborn and Rodgers were having, a little chat just right after the 2-minute warning had happened. I'm like, Jack, what did you guys talk about? And he said he doesn't really remember. He doesn't even know if he said anything to Rodgers. All he could remember is that Rodgers threw up the W for Wisconsin, and that was it. So he doesn't even know if he said anything to Rodgers, but he knows that he was asked a lot about that during the bye week. He's like, yeah, a bunch of people came up to me asking me. He's like, I don't even know if I said anything. I just know he threw up the W for Wisconsin.
That's awesome stuff. Good job, Nick. I appreciate. Is that all for Alice? I just want to make sure before I put a bow on it.
I know people, they're going to see this portion, they're going to tune out, but Sam Musfer also spoke to the media today, and I thought he had a lot of good things to say, and I know if you want to tune out now, you could do that, but you got to come right back. But he was asked what he worked on during the bye, And he said just past set efficiency. I got a bunch of, quote tweets and stuff about him. And it's like, he's got a lot more to work on than that. But
he's a lightning rod, that's for sure.
He definitely is, Greg. Just all you got to do is type in Sam Musselburg. Like, so, your phone will blow up.
You know
but
I'm going to do that. I'm pissed off enough people on Bears Twitter today. So
there you go.
Why not finish it strong?
That's going to be funny. He was also asked how he spent the bye week. Kind of most players will get away. He's like, he didn't really get away. Plenty of time in the offseason. He said there's plenty of time in the offseason to get away from the game, but a lot of self-scouting. And here's a really cool nugget that he revealed about Justin Fields and how he improved. And I'll just give you the direct quote here. First, he said he's making audibles at the line of scrimmage. I know Fields was asked about that maybe a month ago. He said he really doesn't have that flexibility all too much, but he said he's definitely doing that. And here's a direct quote from Mustafa. There are plays and times in the games where he'll see a late rotation or something and get us to the proper check or proper read. Or if we're in a run play, this is a look we've scouted all week. He gets everybody on the same page, gets the audible in, gets me time to change up the point, and then we're rolling. So seeing that growth from Justin Fields, now that he is in year 2 and going into week 15 or week 14, week 15, sorry, that's great to see. Because we don't really hear too much of the flexibility that Justin Fields has, with Luke Getsy, his first time play caller, but he's making those adjustments at the line of scrimmage, getting the Bears in the right play, depending on what the defense is doing. That's awesome to hear from QB1. And then last thing I have from Mustafa, he was obviously asked about the Eagles, that defensive line. So it's the deepest unit in the NFL. But he does want to go up against that type of competition. As a competitor, that's what you want, to go up against the best. And he did learn a lot from being, benched for 10 snaps before Lucas Patrick ended up, getting hurt. But he said it made him honestly evaluate himself. And I like this quote from him: if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Nobody stays the same in this league. So I thought he was pretty insightful. And now everybody who left can come back and join the CHGO Bears After Dark show.
All right. Show resumes, but I think the nugget about Fields being able to make changes really perked me up when I was just hearing about it. I was literally thinking about this just yesterday. Like, why? Because I was in that press room because it was after a game and he was talking like, I can't do that. And I just had no idea why they wouldn't trust the man enough to make some changes. Obviously, he knows the position. He's been playing well. He's grown within this offense. He may not have the flexibility of a Tom Brady, but he should be able to make some adjustments if he feels like he's in a bad spot. So to hear that he's been doing that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that we're able to kind of get that clarified or get that update from Mustafa here today. But Nick, really good stuff there. Go ahead, Greg.
And because me and Adam Hogue were talking about this when in the Packers game when they ran it on 3rd and 5 in the pivotal moment on the second to last drive and they didn't get the first down. Adam said, well, that could have been a check at the line of scrimmage by Justin, that, they have their reads and their keys. And if if what he's seeing says we run this, then we run it. And because I was upset at Luke Getsy for not putting the ball in Justin's hands. And he goes, well, maybe it was. And Justin decided to check out of that into a run. So maybe that was the case from what you're saying here.
Yeah, really good point. So we're going to play a new game yet again, but I think this is the last game for the year in terms of we're going to play this every week now. And then we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. We threw up a YouTube poll, a good question about Jalen and Justin and who's going to have the better career. So if you think it's Justin or Jalen, make sure to participate in our YouTube poll, and we will give those results before we sign off for today's episode. Nick, you're making some faces. Is it the results of the poll?
No. Our awesome producer Steven just said, not sure, about Kyler. Apparently he went down with a non-contact injury and the card is coming out.
Wow.
Yeah, I did just see it. It didn't look that good. Non-contact on a rush. It was a little scramble, and I don't want to speculate. Probably a knee injury. And
yikes.
We all know what those could be.
Yeah, that's really scary stuff. Wow.
Anything non-contact, man, it's just wow. The game just started, right? Or
yeah, not that long ago. 7 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was the third play of the game.
Wow.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's tough.
That's awful. Awful.
And that's, I don't even want to bring it up. I've been going at it about this whole Justin Fields thing and the risk reward of these final 4 games. But that is, when Chase Claypool went down against the Packers, I literally fell to my knee because that's how much I care about the start of next season. I understand there's some things to still be taken away from the rest of this year. What Justin Fields did in the pocket, passing the football against Green Bay, that was great. That's the reward of what you're developing for. But there's a risk. There's always an inherent risk in football. I understand that. But it's just, the later we get into the year, I will continue to feel like the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and I'll be holding my breath as the season unwinds because I just want to make it through as healthy as we can. We already lost Darnell Mooney for the year. We lost Eddie Jackson. It looked like we lost Chase Claypool for another year. And I get you can't wrap these guys in bubble wrap, but this is such an important offseason. And if there's certain injuries that will then dictate how the offseason goes, whether how you have to approach it in free agency or the draft. And I just think that fans are being very casual about not worrying about those consequences. Yes, you can get hit by a bus walking across the street. Yes, you can get hurt next year, week 1, even if you avoided all of this year. But it's still, you'll never convince me that the reward is more worthy than the risk at this point, especially as the year gets deeper. Now, the offensive line did a great job of keeping Justin Fields clean, 0 sacks in the last game. They need to keep that up. I feel like if there's any game where the line is getting blown up like Washington, they got to consider pulling this guy. If the Eagles or the Bills are up 40 on us, Justin Fields, pull him. You know what I mean? Let's not be silly about this. And those kind of things. And I understand. I'm not trying to wrap Justin Fields in bubble wrap, nor would he allow anyone to. He's got the heart of a lion. He's tough as nails. But at some point, the coach and the GM have to also be thinking what's best for this team in long term. And that right there is why I have such nervous energy these last 4 weeks. But that's why I'm a fan, and that's why they get paid to make these decisions. So I'll just be over here, complaining.
Well, hopefully there's not a lot of complaining when it comes to this game. I don't have a name for it, but it's in a nutshell for the remainder of the year. I want to look because everyone knows that the Bears' remaining schedule is difficult. They're playing some really good opponents. And it hit me when I was looking at free agency stuff today. There's a lot of good players that are up for a contract on the Eagles, and the same could be said for the Bills and so on and so forth. So let's see if there's any future Bears that we're going to be going up against over the next 4 weeks. So I'm going to give you some players, and you're just going to tell me, are you just going to stay away from them? You would consider them as an option. You'd bring them in if the price is right.
AJ Brown, yes.
Or is this a player that you would back up the Brinks truck for? So here we go. First of all, I'm going to lump in some players together. Do you want any of the old guys over 30 not named Robert Quinn on their team, like Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Linval Joseph, Sue? I figured no. That's why I lumped them in, but I figured I would at least give you that chance.
I think you bring in those guys if you're in the Eagles situation where they're ready to compete for a Super Bowl, right? You bring in one of those veterans, hey, it's a 1 year, whatever it may be. But, Fletcher Cox, he's still a good player.
He is. I just feel like he's one of those lifetime Eagles players, and he goes to Chicago and he's just going to collect the paycheck. At least that's what I thought.
I think any of those types of players will have to be players that once you get past free agency and the draft, and if they still haven't been signed and you still haven't been able to fully address those needs in particular positions, is when you'd consider it. But at this point, until we see what we're able to get in free agency and then the draft, it's hard to say, of course I'd take Fletcher Cox. Let's say the Bears trade back at 2 and they move back to 9 and take an offensive tackle, and then at 13 they take, or whatever, with the picks they add, they take other positions than defensive tackle, and they don't take, Jalen Carter at 2. And you still need that 3 technique. And there's Fletcher Cox. He's not going to make it out of free agency prior to the draft. So this whole scenario is stupid, and Greg should just stop talking. But I'm just saying, in those kind of scenarios, then once you get past the draft, any kind of quality player that you could potentially pick up on a 1-year deal, and he's trying to get to that next, prove it contract, that's those scenarios that'll play out. But it has to be after the draft for most of the 30 and overs, I'd imagine.
All right, let's get into some slightly younger players. They have a handful of guys that are like 28, 29, will turn 30 before next season, but I think they could be productive still. So first of all, cornerback James Bradberry, 29, 3 interceptions this year, 33 tackles. He's allowing 44.6% of his targets to be completed, which is the second lowest in the NFL, which is a good thing. The second lowest pass rating too when targeted at 43.6. He's the 4th highest graded corner via PFF. He's currently on a 1-year, $7.25 million contract, most of which is a signing bonus, by the way, showing you can be flexible because his cap hit's only $2.28 million. So again, at this age, just coming off a 1-year deal where he really proved it, he's looking for that last big money deal. He's played above his current contract. Spot Track has his market value at $17.1 million next year, which would be the 8th highest of all corners. And he's currently 31st, if you want like a comparison of where that jump may lie. But would he be a good option alongside Kyler, alongside Jalen, Johnson? What would you guys do? Stay away, consider, price is right, back up the brink? Where are you at?
Well, with that scenario, I mean, you obviously would have to pay him, like you were just saying. That's what he would be looking for, and then Kyler would be your designated nickel. Like you're not gonna take him off the field, and I wonder. I mean, is that what you want out of your your second round draft pick? I don't know if that's what the Bears' intentions are, but if they were to sign a big ticket, free agent or a cornerback on the outside, then that does put you in a position to only play Kyler as the nickel, and maybe that's the best for the Bears defense moving forward. Maybe it's not. I still need to see more from Kyler Gordon to make that determination, but it would be intriguing if they did do that.
So you're at the consideration stage.
Consideration would be probably the best place for a player like Bradberry.
What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think corners on the table, especially with what Nick just said from what Matt Eberflus said about Kyler Gordon. Like, I really am looking forward to seeing him at nickel. Like, I think for most Bears fans, we're like, oh, like we want Kyler Gordon to play on the outside. Nickel is a very important position, especially in this day and age in the NFL. You want your corners when you draft them that high to be guys that can be on the outside. They're asking Kyler to do a lot, and maybe he'll still be a guy that gets on the outside. But, it'll be interesting. And then the other dynamic you have to think about is, if you're paying a guy like that, big money and a longer-term contract, what does that mean for Jalen Johnson? Because he's due for a payday here real soon.
Right.
So I think you have to take that into consideration. I've kind of got my hopes up on the cornerback out of Illinois that I'd like for them to draft in the 2nd or 3rd round, Witherspoon. This guy has impressed me the few times I've watched him play. That's getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I just feel like he could be somebody that's there in the 2nd round or 3rd round. Not the guy for projections, but all I know is the guy can play, and I would love to see him in a Bears uniform. So, cornerback is so expensive. Wide receiver is so expensive. Ideally, you'd like to find those guys in the draft so you're not paying them, because then you can pay your offensive line and your defensive line, which the Bears sorely need.
Well, the good news is about the Bears, their pockets are so full they're like drooping down to the ground as they're walking around right now. Seriously, like they have that kind of cash to spend this upcoming offseason. All right, next up, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave. Nick actually mentioned his name earlier, his nickname, Grave Digger. He turns 30 in February, but he's 5th on the team in tackles. He has 8 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2016, signed a 3-year, $36 million deal to Eagles back in 2020. Top interior pass rusher in the league, 24 sacks in his time in Philly so far, 41 on career with 199 quarterback hurries, by the way, throughout his entire career so far, too. And again, I know we're talking about a lot of younger defensive linemen and things of that nature, but there are plenty of cases around the league of like D linemen playing well into their early 30s. So I did want to bring this one as an option, but this is another potential hefty deal where his market value is sitting at $20.1 million per year, which would be the third most of defensive tackles. So that one may put him out of the price range, at least for me personally, but he's a really good player. He may be available. Thoughts on him?
Yeah, hopefully he's not putting Justin Field grave with his nickname there this upcoming Sunday. But yeah, the Bears I think have to take a serious look at every single free agent pass rusher defensive lineman that they can. When you look at the lack of production from that unit right now, Will, like you have to take a serious look at everybody. But you said he's going to already be 30. Is that correct?
He turns 30 in February, which does, put some pause, but there are older players in the league playing at a very high level. It's not one where you sign them to like a 5-6+ year deal. 3 was his last one. This next one may just be 2.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe on a 2-year deal, again, consideration for me, for sure. Because again, anybody that has production on the defensive line, the Bears will be like, ooh, we could use you. We could put you on this defense right now because you're going to be better than everyone else that we got.
See, I saw a comment here from Pepe saying that Darren Payne's the guy to get. I agree. He's just not on the list here for this week, but we'll continue the game. Greg, any thoughts on Hargrave real quick?
Yeah, I know a lot of Bears fans have their eyes set on Daron Payne. We don't know if he'll be available, so
right.
This is somebody that could be, available. And he's shown some consistency. He's got 8 sacks this year. He had 7.5 sacks last year. So you feel like this is somebody what you're getting from. That being said, the Bears have to put help around these guys because, if you're a defensive tackle and you don't have anybody on the edge getting to the quarterback, well, then they're just going to double you up and you're not going to get those 8 sacks, if you're Hargrave. So, but I imagine they are going to start, putting a huge influx of talent in here. So, yeah, that's certainly somebody I would consider, and he may not come at the price tag that a Daron Payne will. And like I said, it's tricky in free agency too, because we don't really know how Ryan Poles is going to attack free agency. And if we do end up with the number 2 or the number 3 pick, it's going to be somewhere between 2 and 5, which is great news. They may say, hey, we're getting Jalen. If we have the number 2 pick and Ryan Poles is saying we're getting Jalen Carter, then I don't know how much money they're going to put into defensive tackle. They may put it on the outside.
I'm not going to complain. It just has to be investments made all the way around. What about this potential reclamation project here? Offensive tackle Andre Dillard, first-round pick in 2019. It just hasn't really panned out as expected. He was a top left tackle in that draft class. Didn't get to play a lot as a rookie. He missed 2020 due to a biceps injury. Then from ever since, he's been trying to climb uphill. Jordan Mailata? Question mark. I'm going to go best on pronouncing that one. He came out of nowhere for Philadelphia, became the left tackle, and he played so good that they gave him a $64 million extension. So it wasn't that Dillard played bad. They just found someone else that just blossomed out of nowhere and kind of took that job. So ever since, he's been practicing all across the offensive line, including right tackle. He played some left guard this year and played well. He's taking it all in stride. He still has high aspirations in his league. It just may not be in Philadelphia. And I know we've been doing a lot of these kind of projects ever since Poles came in, and I don't have like a market value for him. That's how uncertain everyone is about like the market for Dillard. But I think this will be an interesting potential project if the Bears want to find, a low risk, potential high reward guy in free agency.
If that's how they're viewing it, Will, then that's okay with like signing a guy like this. If you're thinking that, a guy like Dillard's going to be your left tackle, like that's putting too much eggs in the basket without knowing what the hell the basket, is, right? So, and I think at that position too, you just need to get it right? You just need to get guys that you could trust out there, that Justin Fields can trust, and that's how I'm going to view a lot of like whoever the Bears do end up getting on the offensive line to upgrade this entire unit. That's how I'm going to view it. Can you be consistently relied on? You're not going to win all your one-on-one matchups. You're going to give up sacks. You're going to give up pressures, but can you be more consistent than not? And again, maybe we just know too much about Dillard. Obviously, high draft pick, but I think I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, we have enough projects going on. I mean, Alex Leatherwood's a project. Tevin Jenkins learning a new position at guard, even though he's played really well. You could still consider a work in progress, maybe not a project. I'll be a little nicer with that because of the play he's shown on the field. But Braxton Jones, same thing. He's done well by all accounts, and a 5th-round pick who has a high ceiling, but still a project at left tackle to be your 10-year left tackle. I mean, if that's what ends up happening, huge credit to Ryan Poles, and I think they're on the right track, but I still think he's got more to prove and improve on, for that to be him becoming a guaranteed mainstay. So we have all these projects going on, and now it's starting to look like Gregg Braggs and homework assignments in middle school. I had all these projects and none of them were actually done. And my mom would be yelling at me, a 40-year teacher, pulling her hair out, trying to get her son to actually learn. So, I think we should, like Nick said, maybe stay away from the projects and go for the sure thing so we can start to anchor down that protection for Justin Fields.
I expect a lot of depth spots to be available on this roster come next offseason. So I want to be opposed to like, hey, come in, earn a spot if you can. If not, you're our new swing tackle because is Riley Reef really going to be here? Probably not. No. All right. I got 2 more for you, and they're on defense. We're going to look at linebackers. They have an off-ball linebacker who plays the will position, Kaiser White. Because we all know Nicholas Moreano ain't it. So White is 26 years old. He's second on the Eagles with 79 tackles, 1 for loss, 1 quarterback hit, 5 PBUs. He signed a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Eagles last offseason. He spent his first 4 years with the Chargers, where, the team that drafted him. He had 144 tackles and 77 starts. So he's almost halfway or just over halfway in this one season. So he is someone that's continuing to get better. He was PFF's 20th best off-ball linebacker in 2021. In this season, he is 37th overall of all linebackers, which, it doesn't sound great. But again, maybe he's not going to be a stud, but he could be better than Morrow, which is 48th, by the way, of all linebackers. So a potential upgrade here at the linebacking position. So what about Kaiser White? Would he be someone that piques your fancies?
He's got production to go along, what you were just kind of saying, Will, and, his last year at the Chargers, 144 tackles, like that's production, 2 forced fumbles, also was a former safety as well. Like I know, obviously Nicholas Moore was also a former safety, but someone that can have some range too.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just need to find someone that, like Jack Sanborn's doing right now, he just finds the ball. He's just around the football. So if Kaiser White can provide that, then that's obviously what you want in a defense. And, one of the things that Sanborn said for how to lock up Jalen Hurts, and you really can't do that, you just need to have people around the football. I don't know if the Bears have too many of those guys currently, even though that's a part of the hits philosophy. They need guys like that, so he would definitely be somebody I'd be intrigued with.
The name doesn't jump off the board to me, and just skimming over his stats, the thing that does stick out to me is only 2 forced fumbles. He has 4 interceptions, but only 2 forced fumbles. And to me, what is Matt Eberflus? What is he predicated on? What is the reason they got rid of Roquan Smith? What is the reason he said Jalen Johnson probably shouldn't be a Pro Bowler this year? You got to get the stats. You got to get the turnovers. And, for this guy, I mean, I don't know if that's enough. I mean, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, maybe that's enough in Matt Eberflus's book. But I don't know. Like I said, me personally, doesn't necessarily jump off the page. But when you're the Bears and the cupboard is bare, beggars cannot be choosers. So we got a big help wanted sign up outside at Hallis Hall. So, I don't think we're going to be complaining at whoever they bring in because we need all the help we can get.
Oh, don't you underestimate Bears fans. They and we will find ways and nitpick and complain. Well, final guy, real quick, another linebacker, but an inside linebacker. What the hell, Will? We have Jack Sanborn. This is for the game, but also I want to bring this parallel into the equation. So TJ Edwards, he's 26 years old. He leads the team with 115 tackles, 8 for loss, 5 QB hits, 2 sacks, 7 PBUs. By far one of the best inside linebackers in the game this season. I bet you he re-signs with Philadelphia. But here's the thing. I said he was an undrafted guy in 2019. Where'd he come from? Wisconsin. And he worked his way into a starting role, and he worked his way up to becoming one of the best inside linebackers in the game today. If that's Jack Sanborn's trajectory, and Sanborn's doing it quicker than Edwards did, I'm just saying we may just be A-okay when it comes to the Mike linebacking position here in Chicago. I don't even know if you need to even say anything about Edwards, but I just want to at least show you, like, there's a player out there who would kind of follow the same path, and he's playing at a really high level. And it even took him a couple of years to get a shot. Sanborn got his experience now. I think this is pretty interesting.
Well, and he's being productive behind a super productive defensive line and a defense that can help him out. Sanborn's doing this with not a lot of help himself. So I don't know. Obviously, he's, having a really good season. We'll get to see him up front on Sunday at Soldier Field. But what Sanborn is doing it truly is impressive for him to be around the football consistently, despite, some of the 10 other guys maybe not doing the job. Sanborn consistently finds ways to make plays.
Oh, wow. It's one of those moments again where I'm like,
every
week.
Threw you up. I was like, I'm going to go speechless here.
That's going to be like our weekly clip for social just from this show is this when we finally find a moment where Greg doesn't have something to say.
Doesn't happen a lot. Only on this show it happens, but it doesn't happen a lot.
Wow. All right, so I'll wrap up this segment. There are other names you can chime in if someone's like, oh no, the Bears should look into this player. You have running back Boston Scott, wide receiver Zach Pascal, running back Miles Sanders, again, probably a player that comes back, safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and safety Marcus Epps. I feel like the Bears aren't going to go all in on a safety considering they just went with Brisker, and I'd expect Jackson to recover and be back next year. All right, cool. No objections. Greg, Chi-Town Cornhole, hit me.
Oh, I'm going to hit you with some Chi-Town Cornhole because this is the Christmas season, and you got to make sure you get your loved ones and friends and family some Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Their signature box-style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Their cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders, recessed in on the back, LEDs that light up the hole, and exterior handles for easy carrying, and handcrafted scorekeepers. They've thought of it all. Veteran-owned and operated. They can ship anywhere and offer local pickups if you're doing some last-minute Christmas shopping, specializing in corporate designs for your company's next marketing or social event, wedding gifts, and gifts for all occasions, and especially for tailgaters and backyard barbecues. Go check out their website, ChiTownCornhole.com, and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Chi-Town Custom Cornhole Boards. Really good stuff. We've had them all year long at our CHGO Bears tailgates. Good bags, good boards. They for anybody that's loves to play cornhole. They have a nice slide to them, nice distance as far as how big the boards are. Really enjoyed playing on those all year long. So shout out to those guys.
Absolutely. Good stuff there, Greg. I want to make sure people know about, DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm sure you do because they are the official sports betting partner of the NFL, and they are my go-to when betting on the NFL this holiday season. So many reasons why. The same game parlays, those fast, easy payouts, the player prop options are awesome. I love combing through those, as everyone has heard me talk about a million times. And right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. So check this out right now. Everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. And the more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. And of course, we've been using the app here. Well, I've been using it for years, and it's just an awesome way to go ahead and bet on the NFL games. And I gave you some thoughts about my same game parlay earlier that I'm feeling pretty good about now, especially I'm not going to say because of the injury to Murray, but it does help at least with my bet. And real quickly, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code CHGO. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, guys. So we have a big game this week, right? Eagles, Bears, but I think the matchup within the matchup intrigues me even more, and that's Justin Fields versus Jalen Hurts. And Nick and I, we kind of talked about this a little bit on Thursday during our bye week special, and I gave some interesting stats about like how similar Hurts' season last year was to what we're seeing from Justin Fields this year. And if you want a quick refresher, Jalen Hurts in 2021, he hit 61% of his passes for 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, an 87.2 passer rating, and he had 784 rushing yards with 10 rushing touchdowns. Justin Fields so far this season, he's hitting exactly the same amount of passes, 61%, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, an 85.4 rating, 905 rushing yards with 8 touchdowns. And then what we saw this year in Philadelphia and bringing in A.J. Brown really helped is that Jalen Hurts just took really huge leaps. Numbers went up across the board, a higher touchdown percentage, more passing yards per game, and that pass rating went up from 87.2 last year to a 108.3. Yeah. How would you feel if you saw Justin do that kind of jump next year, Greg? You're going to spit out that drink?
I would probably cry. I would spit out this entire green drink all over the set, and then they'd probably kick me out. No, I would be ecstatic. That's the goal, right? I mean, but as I said, just watching them, and it's kind of laughable how he just kind of throws it up to these guys and they just go get it. AJ Brown, the wide Devontae Smith, who they traded up to get. You know, they've got so much talent. You know, Dallas Goedert, really good. So, you know, I think we have a start with Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Cole Kmet, but we need that one more guy. We need that A.J. Brown. And I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know if we're going to be drafting wide receiver in the first round as much as I was kind of really getting into that idea early in the season. I think the higher we go up in the draft, picking in the top 5, the less I think that's a possibility. Now, if we trade back, all bets are off because it just depends on where we're sitting. And then taking best player available if that's what Ryan Poles chooses to do. But, you know, maybe there's a free agent, or not a free agent, but a trade partner out there for a veteran wide receiver like an A.J. Brown. That's a true number one, a proven number one. You know, me and my friend were going back and forth about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. My buddy Eric, we were watching the game yesterday. And he thinks Godwin is better than Evans. And I thought Evans was better than Godwin. I think they both bring a lot to the table. You know, it's like, and if Tom Brady leaves there, you know, are they in the market for trading some veteran wide receivers? There'll be other teams like that we're not. I mean, did anybody think A.J. Brown was going to get traded from the Titans last year? Nobody did. So there's going to be other wide receivers out there. You know, I don't know. Everybody thinks Keenan Allen's past his prime. With the San Diego Chargers, I thought he looked great last night. If the Chargers are ready to get rid of Keenan Allen, sign me up. You know, we need a guy that is a top line route runner, great hands, all that stuff, because that's going to take Justin Fields to the next level. He's proven everything. Like you said, Jalen Hurts and him last year, very similar, and you see this jump. What's going to make that jump is that top line wide receiver to go along with the ones that they already have in house.
Bona fide wide receiver was the term that was coming out on Thursday. We're right there with you. Godwin would be interesting, but yeah, free agency is not going to happen. Like, it's just, there's no one there. I keep looking at that list once a week. It doesn't change. My hopes don't get any higher.
It's like going in the fridge and you open it up and then you go back 3 minutes later and open it again to see what your options are.
Yep.
And it hasn't changed. I do that all the time.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And it hasn't changed. Maybe like a trade target. I think that's the only way you can go. I mean, you can draft someone, but that's a high investment. And right now the draft is definitely heavier on defense early on.
That's your homework assignment then, Will. Find all the wide receivers that could be traded across the league.
I already identified one, but I still don't know if he's that bona fide guy, and that's Paris Campbell. Like, he's good, but is he that kind of guy? And I don't think so, unfortunately. But he's putting up good numbers with a really bad offense. But I don't know if I've seen the it factor for it. But definitely, you're right. That is on my list of things that I want to do personally. So I'm glad you mentioned it. I'll put it higher on my.
Of course, I'm passing the research off onto you. I mean, you're the research guy, but no one's going to depend on me to do this research properly.
Yeah, I'm the in-house research guy. I'm damn proud of it,
and you're very good at it for sure.
I appreciate it. Let's get people pumped about this matchup between Hurts and Fields. Why are we excited? Why should Bears fans be excited about this matchup coming here on Sunday? Again, I really, really am excited to see these two kind of go at it. Nick, why are you excited about it?
So you see our graphic up there. I think I'm pointing at it. The DraftKings. Take the overs on the rushing yards for both these quarterbacks on Sunday because you know they're about to go off and try to extend plays. But like that's what these two quarterbacks can do: the ability to make off-schedule plays happen and can almost do it consistently. And that's why it's going to be awesome on Sunday because regardless of which offense you're watching, and it might be tougher for the Bears because the front seven they're going to have to go against, but you're seeing two really athletic quarterbacks. I remember when the discussion for the beginning of this season was like, okay, we got Jalen Hurts, the wide receiver that he needs. If he can't do it this year, then we're going to move on, get another chance to see a quarterback with these weapons. Well, he's made the most of it. So I think on Sunday, you're hoping to see like what next season could be like for Justin Fields and the Bears offense. And you're going to have to watch it through the Eagles pretty much lighting up this Bears defense for 30 plus. But maybe that is what you see on Sunday. And it's just going to be exciting to see, again, a guy like Hurts and Fields is super competitive. Maybe try to match what he's doing. It's going to be a lot tougher, though, because he's going up against a way better defense than what the Bears are going to present to Jalen Hurts.
Just say if Justin does go, tit for tat with this, with Hurts on Sunday, with the weapons that Hurts has compared to Justin and the offensive lines being, on drastically two different ends of the spectrum, what would that tell you, Nick, about who Justin Fields, the Chicago Bears quarterback, is, if he can do that this Sunday?
I don't know if it would tell me anything differently than what I already think of Fields right now, to be completely honest, you guys. Maybe that's way too overblown, but from what I've seen with what Justin Fields is working with, he's a competitor, he's your franchise quarterback, but if he can go throw for throw, drive for drive, point for point with a guy like Jalen Hurts and everything that he's got here, and he's going up against the Bears defense, that tells you everything that you need to know. And that 2023 is about to be a hell of a lot more fun than even this season. They only got 3 wins, but it's still a fun season. It's going to be a lot more fun next year if we are able to see some of that type of play from Justin Fields. Again, very tall task with everything the Eagles are bringing to Soldier Field on Sunday. But if he could do that, Will, 2023, we cannot wait for that season to start.
Yeah, the Eagles defense, really good, even though you guys didn't want any of those defenders. Greg, how about you? What are your thoughts about this matchup? What gets you excited?
I thought Nick hit it on the head there. Look at what Justin Fields did going toe-to-toe with Tua and the Dolphins on the lakefront. And they have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill going up against our secondary and our defense, who's young and not very good up front, have all the time in the world to throw. And Justin Fields, with the talent he has to work with offensively, matched him toe-to-toe. If he matches the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think their defense is better than the Dolphins, I don't think that's a stretch to say. If he's able to do this same kind of, just highlight reel matchup, back and forth game, we're talking about if he does that, we have the Bills and then the Lions. But more importantly, these Eagles and Bills games are great litmus tests for what's to come. If he's able to match these guys like he did in that Dolphins game, we're talking about a quarterback that could potentially be the best in the NFC, if not the entire NFL. To me, he's on that trajectory already to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. And if he can get the help that he deserves, there's a very good chance he can be a top 5 quarterback in the entire NFL. Look at what happened with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and I think there's a lot of similarities in Justin and Lamar's game, and I think Justin's ceiling is higher because, I've said it before, but I think he's every bit the runner Lamar Jackson is with a better arm. And so, I think he can play the quarterback position from the pocket. He just chooses not to because he wants to help his team win currently. So, I'm excited to see how we match up. I know we're going to get kicked in the mouth, but, I thought we'd get kicked in the mouth against the Dolphins, and that's not what happened. I mean, we ended that game, and most Bears fans felt like they should have won that game. If we come away on Sunday feeling like that against the Eagles, I'll be shocked. And, I know I talk a lot about the tankathon. I know I talk a lot about that number 2 pick, but I'm not rooting against the Bears, and I'm not rooting against Justin Fields. And I know they're not trying to tank. And if Justin Fields ruins all my dreams for number 2, and now we fall to 4 or 5, which is a great worst case scenario in this, in this scenario, and he wins and beats the Philadelphia Eagles, you will not hear one complaint out of me about it. I mean, yes, I want that number 2 pick, but at the same time, I'm totally for beating the best team in football and putting a statement, like that out there. There wasn't as much juice for me with the hapless Packers. It just didn't, it just feels like they're running out the string. I don't think it's possible. I think Philadelphia is really going to take it to us, and I think this is a good opportunity for Ryan Poles and George McCaskey to see right in front of them on the lakefront what needs to be done for the Bears to become them. The next 3 weeks, and it's kind of a gradual step. You got the Eagles and the Bills, who are the top of the NFL and everything we would dream to be as a team. But then when we go to play the Lions on New Year's Day, look at what they're starting to become. So I just think each week here, these next 3 are a good opportunity for our franchise to look across the field and say, how do we get to this? How do we get to this? So, it starts here with the best team in football, the Philadelphia Eagles. So I love it. It'll be interesting to see. It scares me when Nick says, take the over on the rushing yards. I don't like, because the other half of me is, again, that risk reward. And I don't want Justin Fields to try to run for 250 yards. And I know he's going to try. And this is where it's like I have this tug of war of emotion. So that scares me. I want them to compete, but I want them to be safe. And I don't care if they lose. I'm a basket case of emotions right now as a Bears fan. I just want to get through this godforsaken season. It's been a lot of fun. I completely agree. It's the most fun 3-win season we will ever have as Bears fans. And that's a credit to Justin Fields and probably Justin Fields alone. But I guess we do have to give the coaching staff a little credit for all of this. But a lot of emotions going on. I'm excited for the Chicago Bears to get back to it this Sunday. Bye weeks are nice, but Bears games are nicer.
Greg, I like how you didn't mention the Vikings and the 4 opponents. Like you want to be the Eagles, you want to be the Bills.
I don't want to be the Vikings.
I know they're 10 wins is fine, but you're not honestly a 10-win team. We saw what the Lions just did to them last week, but I appreciate that you did not, you left out the Vikings on purpose.
Well, and I also don't know if they're going to play their starters the last week, but yeah, I mean, we're trying to beat all these teams. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So, I mean, I know Don Burr's been in our chat tonight, and he's a big Lions fan, so congrats to you. We'll see. It looks like they're on a trajectory to make the playoffs, and this is what the Bears, as much as we want to be the Eagles next year, and that's what I was saying to Will earlier, watching them, getting to sit back and watch that entire game, I was like, I don't know if we can become the Eagles by next year. Maybe Justin Fields can become the dynamic quarterback MVP type candidate like Jalen Hurts is, but as a team, can the Bears be the Eagles next year? We got so many holes to fill for that to become a reality, but we can be every bit of the Detroit Lions, who are, what are they, 5-7 right now? And I think Detroit's ready to throw a ticker tape parade, or 6-7, whatever they are. They're feeling great about everything that's going on right now. So while we're still a ways away from becoming the Eagles, we can compete in this conference if we just do a few things right here in the offseason, specifically get Justin Fields some more help.
And of course you would like that he slighted the Vikings, Nick, because that's exactly what you did on Thursday when we were talking about the upcoming opponents.
I did?
You don't remember. You had a long weekend, but you did the same exact thing. You're talking about Super Bowl contenders and things of that nature. And it's like, you're like, just, we're going to move. And then the Lions. And they're like, the Vikings are in there too, man.
Well, Jack Sanborn did the exact same thing today because he was asked about Super Bowl contenders. He's like, I think you mean the Eagles and the Bills. Ooh. And obviously the Vikings are sitting at 10-3, but he's like, I think you mean the Eagles and the Bills. So I think even he knows who the real players are in this league. So hey, I'm only following in the footsteps of the what nickname are we going with Jack Sanborn? I forget. He has so many right now.
I like Sandlocker.
Oh, okay.
I know everybody's saying Sand God, fine. But I like Sandlocker. I think that one's pretty funny. So we'll see.
He did too.
And for Minnesota, and their aspirations, like getting to the dance is half the battle. So if they get there, anything can happen. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles who were playing and how they won the Super Bowl with Nick freaking Foles. We all saw how that worked out in Chicago. I mean, you get in the dance, the matchups work in your favor, certain things happen throughout the game, anything can happen. So, no, am I picking them to get to the Super Bowl? No, I know Carmi V did. And you just never know. I mean, it's not like they're terrible. I mean, they were, that last game, it was an entertaining game against the Lions, and the Lions are no pushover anymore. And I thought Kirk Cousins made a lot of really good throws in that game. Justin Jefferson is a dynamic player. But, yeah, the Vikings, they have somewhat of a playoff curse themselves. So, but you never know. And you got to get to the dance to have a chance. There's my rhyme.
And I don't know if Don Burr is still here, but I did see one of his comments earlier about kind of making fun that we're already talking about draft picks and status and not wanting to lose, but being okay if we lose. And that's just a sign of a loser and things like that. I remember, and I don't want to have to go all the way back and pull the receipts, but I remember him talking about, we're going to have that number 1 pick and we're going to get Hutchinson and getting all excited about it. So I remember last year, Don, there you are.
People don't forget, Don. People don't forget.
There's the comment that I already stuck in my brain down the road too. So I'm not going to forget that.
We appreciate your support, but calling me a loser. I hear worse on Bears Twitter. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty tame. That's not bad. Yeah. All right, real quickly, let's throw up that the results of the poll that we ran about who's going to have the better career. Obviously, our listeners aren't biased. So what were those results?
So I was pretty surprised that the results were as emphatic as they are. Just to preface this a little bit, Jalen Hurts is a leading MVP candidate right now. He's probably top 2 with Patrick Mahomes. And the results are in. It's Justin Fields with a whopping 73% of the vote.
You were surprised that Bears fans are biased, Steven?
It's not. I'm surprised.
Are you new here?
I just thought it was it wasn't going to be that big of a gap. 73%. That's the guy might win MVP this year.
We are a very obnoxious fan base, Steven,
that is true.
So you have to take that into account. I mean, I do think I voted Justin Fields. I think he has the higher ceiling. I mean, if you give Justin Fields the weapons and the offensive line that Jalen Hurts has, you look at the year that Justin Fields is putting up this year. I mean, that's the simple math to me. I mean, I think most teams would kill to have Justin Fields on their team. Jalen Hurts having a great year. All respect to him. Same with Tua, having a great year. But look at the weapons. Look at the line. Look at the play caller.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that take into account. And Justin Fields is all talent, baby. And if you just get him some help, we're going to reap those rewards here very soon.
And guys, like you said, Greg, too. Go ahead, Steven.
I was just going to say, let me ask you guys a question real quick. Over under in his career, 0.5 MVPs for Justin Fields.
Over.
Yeah. 0.5. I mean, I'm taking the over.
Just he has to win one. The reason I'm asking is because Jalen Hurts
who was the guy
probably leading Canada.
Dan Orlovsky was getting ready to give him the MVP this year. So definitely over. I mean, they have the most explosive plays in football. How many touchdowns does he have this year, throwing and passing? I mean, what does he have, guys? Somebody research team, help me out.
Fields? 21.
21. I mean, and he missed a game. So he's probably going to get close to 30 touchdowns. Eric Kramer was the last one to get 30 passing touchdowns, as a Chicago Bear. So, I think he's definitely going to hit the over.
All right. I might regret this later. If he gets one, I'm going to be really happy. So I'm going to ask you a very similar question. Over under 1.5 TDs for MVPs for him.
Let's not get greedy.
Yeah, I know, but because if Hurts might win one this year, and the poll is saying like, oh no, but Justin Fields has the better career.
Well, Lamar Jackson won an MVP, and Justin Fields is already better than him.
And these two guys are almost a carbon copy of each other with the way they play. The only difference is Hurts has weapons and Fields doesn't.
I'm going over. I mean, he's going to win like 5 MVPs, okay. Steven.
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding. I mean,
no, I love it. I hope he does. I hope
whatever you say, I'm going to say the over.
Yes.
So you just keep throwing them at me. I'm going to keep saying the over. I'm not going to put any money on it. I'm just going to open my big fat mouth on the show. That's it.
Love it.
All right, guys, let's put a bow in this episode. I know you guys are talking about like looking at the opponent, how you can get better, and I agree. And hopefully that started during the bye week. And as they're going through these team meetings, it wouldn't be a bad thing if they're in like the defensive meeting, right? Like, all right, game planning against the Eagles. What do they do well and why? What makes them so dangerous? And then you also have Luke Getsy in the room. And then heck, bring in Ryan Poles and they can just have like a trickle down effect. Like, all right, why can't we do this on offense, Getsy? Well, we need X, Y, and Z. Emphasis on the X. You're like, oh, okay, I got you. We'll figure that out. But no, I do agree with all of you, and we've been talking about it for a while, looking at this stretch. It's just like stretch of games that the Bears can do a lot of self-reflection on top of just scouting the opponent and try to blend the two together to come up with a good plan. Not that I don't believe Ryan Poles already has a plan, though, when he looks at this team, looks at Justin, and just knows what he needs. It's pretty obvious what it is, and his targets, his protection, and then you have to have a defense that doesn't give up over 30 points a game. If you have those things, it will be a better year next year. But no, it's going to be a lot of fun this week. Fields, Hurts, the comparisons, the parallels. I'm excited for all the talk. But Nick, Greg, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Looking forward to the matchup. Obviously we have this week to prepare, seeing everything that they're going to bring to the Bears on Sunday. But honestly, like when we're in the press box, I might just sit back and watch, see how this unfolds. As long as Fields is not running for his life like it's Washington, and there's cohesion within the offense, there's rhythm, the timing that Matty Flus was talking about earlier today, then I can feel comfortable and just maybe watch the game, soak it all in. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Bears stack up against a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. It's nice to get back to it. Bye week's fine, but we only get 17 of these, and then we wait all off season and we yell at anybody that doubts us as Bears fans, and spend all off season arguing with each other. This is our chance to actually talk about the games, and so I'm excited to get back to that. 4 more to go, and we'll get a good idea of just how far away we are from the best and some of the up-and-comers like the Detroit Lions. So I'm excited for these next 4 games to see exactly the litmus test of where the Bears are exactly at with, an injury-riddled team and a talent-depleted team. So the more they can continue to make every game competitive like they did against Green Bay and Atlanta and the Dolphins and Detroit, and everybody else, if they can keep doing that to finish this season, that's a huge testament to this coaching staff, these players, and specifically Justin Fields. So let's see it. Let's see it on Sunday. Have my doubts. It's a great team we're going to play, but I guess I shouldn't be doubting Justin Fields very much. He's continued to prove why he's one of the most dynamic players in the NFL.
Listen, the Texans gave us a great glimpse of the any given Sunday yesterday. So it's
one
of those
damn Broncos too.
Yep.
Get my hopes up. They almost come back down 27-0. And I knew when they came back, I'm like, now I'm going to get my hopes up and get all invested in this game. I hope Russell Wilson's okay.
Let down. The
letdown. A game I shouldn't even have cared about. The Chiefs let him right back in it. Hopefully Russell Wilson's okay. They play, if we're looking at the Tankathon thing, they play the Rams on Christmas Day. So, but yes, the tank games had me so fired up yesterday, but it'll be nice to get back to the Bears games.
Speaking of fired up, can you berate people one last time to give this video a like, and then I'll exit?
Like, subscribe, and share along. We appreciate all of you tuning in. But if you don't like this show, anyone listening later on the audio podcast, if you're listening on 2.5 speed and you're hearing my annoying voice, it's 7 years of bad luck if you don't hit the like there. I said it.
Wow, there you go. A lot of pressure, so make sure to hit that like button. I want to thank everyone who tuned in here tonight. Of course, if you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you too. Make sure to rate and review our show over on Apple Podcasts. We'd appreciate those coming in. Tell us how much you love. When Nick and I find ways to get Braggs to be a little quiet once in a while, I think that'd be a great review to see come in. And maybe we'll see how it goes. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you haven't yet, definitely go to allchgo.com/diehard and become one here today. So many great benefits, 20% off merch always, even when we're running sales, 20% off all of our events like our Bears tailgates, our takeovers, and just so much more, including getting into our CHGO Diehard Lounge. We get to hang out with Nick, myself, and all your other favorite CHGO personalities inside of our Discord channels where we talk sports. Is honestly probably like one of my favorite places to talk Chicago sports. That's not Twitter. All right. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. This was CHGO Bears After Dark. We'll be back at you throughout the entire week. But until then, bear down, Chicago.